Welcome to the Political Matrix News. This is Greg Fink, and we have our special guest here tonight, Liam Holliday. How's it going, Liam?
It's going fairly well. I'm
Go
getting
ahead
by.
and go ahead and tell a little bit, everybody a little bit about your background here. I mean, I've been doing campaigns here for the last 30 years, but what have you been doing?
Well, starting out with going all the way back to 1968, when I had a brother at Stanford and a younger brother that just got accepted very early to Stanford, and I was more of a told my dad, who was a retired colonel in the United States Army, that look, I'll just join the army and go to officers candidate school and become an officer and make a career out of it like you did. And he basically looked at me and said, "There's no way you're joining the army or you're going to be involved with that fiasco Vietnam." But if you want to play war, if you want to be a warrior, I've got something for you. And I got sent. He got me a job which would make me deferred from the draft at Marana Army Airfield, working on a project called Fulton Star Surface to Air Recovery System, and that was how to get down pilots out of a place without having to drop in and get them. And they would
Okay.
basically be able to pick up this pilot, from a C-130, pick him up with by having a blue one. So I got involved with these people and doing this, and then they asked me if I was interested in long-term paramilitary officer, and that was to go to Camp Perry and be in the CIA and with their Special Activities Division, Special Operations Group. I was considered a specialized skills paramilitary officer, and I went and did all the training attached to the U.S. Army, but not a in the United States Army. I was a civilian
Right.
the whole time.
Okay.
So they gave this group always gave plausible deniability to the president that has any understanding or any knowledge of there are no military boots on the ground in Laos where I went or any place
Right.
else that I've been. So that's what I did. I did that from 1969 to 1980. I retired, basically left the service of intelligence when basically I watched uh, the turning Iran into from a Western country and Afghanistan from a Western country, really Westernized governments into Islamic, you know, uh, states, and it was brought on by us. We Jimmy Carter and Stansfield Turner, and I just said, "Oh, I'm going to do something else. This just isn't what I." But the one thing that when I was in Long Chiang, Laos, my father would send me classified documents. Had total clearance, so I read. When we had Kissinger having peace talks and doing nothing, I would sit there in Long Chiang, and rather than go to Bangkok with my buddies or whatever, I would just study the history of our country through the eyes of all of our intelligence services. So I've got
So,
and so that's where we are.
yeah, and so with all that, with your background, I mean, what's your take on what's going on today here with everything? I mean, with Israel, I guess tomorrow's going to be the anniversary. I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be the same day of the anniversary.
Yeah.
On October 7th year of the Palestinian attack on Israel. And what do you think about the Gaza peace
I just
that they're
uh,
trying to put together?
all I know is that the most important thing was I've went through the Middle East in the early 70s. They used to be a basically R&R for us in the Southeast Asia. I would go to Beirut, Lebanon, which was a gem on the Mediterranean. It was a third
Right.
Christian, a third Islamic, and a third Jewish. And it was a beautiful city and everything. And now it is a pile of junk. It is just rubble. And you have Iran running Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen. You basically have little Israel encircled by people that will never ever come to the table saying, "We will not stop trying to destroy you and wipe you off the
But
face of the earth."
but what about the whole idea that they're actually supporting the entire peace, initiative that Trump is proposing, for Hamas and Hezbollah? Do you trust them to,
No,
stick behind that or stick beside that?
those individuals from birth have been taught to hate and kill. That's it. That is true. That is 100%. Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, and they're an arm of the Islamic Iranian Ayatollahs. They're the combat arm of Iran. The whole Iraq is yeah, and the Cuds. You got Hamas, you got Hezbollah, the Cuds, who are basically the Cuds is for when Islam takes over Jerusalem, and you have the
Right,
Houthis in Yemen. So all of the states that surround Israel, the only one that is semi, passive is Jordan, and then Egypt. Egypt kind of is back on. They've been hurt so bad by trying to take over Israel. I mean, Egypt's been in it, three different times. From 1948 on till until now. It's a never ending,
so you
and
don't
I
see
just
any hope in this,
no, I
idea of
just
peace
don't
or
see.
anything?
I do not see any hope as long as that Hamas, Hezbollah, the Quds, and the Houthis are run by Iran.
Right. I mean,
Because
yeah, I think they're okay with some of the peace idea, except for they're not okay with giving up their guns. They're not okay with giving up their power. And I
no,
think until they
and they
figure
still
that
want
out, I mean,
the
Trump is
billions
saying
of
they're gonna
dollars. They still
exactly.
want the
Trump is saying
billions
he's
of
gonna
dollars
federal
coming in. Uh, Gaza could be like Monte Carlo with the money that we sent into Gaza. But what
could
they've
be.
done is they've built tunnels to tunnel into Israel. Everything they've done is to look at the way this ungodly, barbaric, attack happened. They took hostages to torture, and they took the bodies of Israelis, Jewish people, and the body
Right.
is, to to a lot of Americans, my body, you cremate it, get it gone. When it's done, it's done. But to the Jewish religion, the body is very, 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 sacred, and they
Exactly.
know this, and they've been still going to the peace table just to collect bodies back, and so
Exactly.
how can you trust somebody who's who basically did what they did on, September, of
October 7th, yeah.
yeah, September 7th of
October,
that
yeah.
is yeah, it's getting to the point where it's just gonna be history. It's not even it's just gonna
Right.
be, it's the where's the next news cycle? Uh,
Yeah.
no, I just don't see how you can have if Israel every time how many times has Israel gone to the peace table and been promised none of this will ever happen again? Every
Exactly.
time.
A lot.
I'd
Yeah.
say probably 10 times, and one time they had, control of huge amounts of land, in the Sinai and the control of the Red Sea, and they gave all that back. They gave it all back, and just it's ever going to it's never going to change. It really isn't.
No, it's not.
Ugh.
No, and so, real quick on some domestic issues here today, with the National Guard and your military background. I mean, what do you think of this whole idea here of the National Guard going in to protect ICE at these different cities and everything, and
Well,
Trump, using his authority to put them in the cities for safety?
I believe that there's uh, the Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne just to make sure children could go to school in
He
Arkansas. I
did.
think it was Little Rock. Yeah, it
Yeah,
did.
people
Yeah,
don't remember that.
yeah. People don't remember the 101st Airborne was sent in. The top military, and all we're doing is trying to use the state's National Guard to hey, bring out. It's time to bring out the National Guard, and if you won't do it, he'll do it. If you won't
Right.
make peace make a peace on your streets where you're, just look at what the riots that have occurred, that have over and over and over that have occurred and the number of people, the 100 days of rioting,
Exactly.
during 2020 when Minneapolis was caught on fire, where
Yeah.
these cities were
You never see
destroyed.
any. I mean, there's no riot whenever Charlie Kirk got shot, nobody rioted.
No, and then
Whenever they shot, Trump, a couple of years ago during the campaign, nobody rioted.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
on the other side, we're not rioting at all. It's just one side that seems to be addicted to riots.
And, one thing about my intelligence service background, I was I'm kind of at times was at odds with the military because, but there's a different deal of what the CIA would do and what the military would do and what
Right.
I'm at odds with what we're doing with our CIA in Ukraine. I think we have, like, 11 CIA, you know, paramilitary bases in Ukraine, basically, Ukraine is not stopping Russia. The United States is stopping Russia. So
Right. With Ukraine's help.
yeah, yeah, basically, we're doing another Vietnam. We're trying to go in and with our and how did that turn out? I mean, so unless and
The whole idea that you can't let Russia get that power, I mean, over Ukraine. I mean, I know it
well,
sounds like another Vietnam, but how do you do it without, ceding
well,
any kind of power or anything to Russia?
problem the problem is with Russia is that they just don't in any way want the United States military or NATO to be in Ukraine. And the
No.
idea that Ukraine has always been part of the Russian Empire. It always has. And then when the Soviet Union came about, the two ended up to be two.
They
Matter of
got their
fact,
freedom.
yeah, well, they didn't the Soviet Union came about, Ukraine actually was part of a revolution, and the actual name for Ukraine was the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic. So they have never been for freedom. They have been for the Soviet, ideal, the Soviet Socialist Republic of Ukraine. Then, during World War II, they they joined forces. 650,000 Ukrainians joined forces with the Nazi army, and dropped their rifles, surrendered, and basically fought the rest of the war as Nazis. And
Right.
and then when when the thing was when Gorbachev declared, what can I do to make peace forever, and the deal that George Bush, the president at the time, 1991, it was unify Germany, take down the Berlin Wall, you take down the Iron Curtain, you let elections occur throughout the Warsaw Pact nations. That's Poland, Hungary, Romania, Albania, all those countries. They have their own elections, and then Russia's uh, borders will revert back to pre 1917 borders. Well, that would mean there's no Ukraine, but then the idea that for some reason Ukraine. Oh, people don't realize Crimea has been part of Russia, the Russian Empire, for hundreds of years. And Crimea, the management of Crimea was given to Ukraine by Nikita Khrushchev, a Ukrainian, after Stalin died, for the Ukrainian Soviet Social Republic to back him as the president of the Soviet Union. And they did. So Crimea management was given, and then we got involved with that in 2014 with a coup over the Ukrainian government, and Crimea said enough of this. They went home and voted for independence. The
Right.
of Crimea became an independent state and joined the Russian Federation. Did not want to belong with anything, shape, or form with Ukraine. And so let Crimea make its own decision on what it wants. If I just believe we stay. Oh, and also the biggest promise we promised Gorbachev was that NATO would travel no further east than a unified Germany. And now we're all on. We have Finland, we have Poland,
All
and
over the place.
we have NATO everywhere, which is like the biggest U.S. ATM in Europe. I mean, that just costs us literally probably the majority of our military budget is funding,
Right.
NATO nations, and but there's these people that say, "Oh, but look at all the military supplies that we sell them. We sell them all the tanks and the jets, jet fighters, and all of this that we supply these countries." But our taxpayers pay for that. The European nations don't pay for that, and
Right,
look,
I know.
so and look at Naples, Italy, this home of the Sixth Fleet. You know, do we really need the Sixth Fleet in the Mediterranean? Do we really absolutely have to have that? But look at the money that goes into Italy for all the bases
Right.
we have in Italy, supposedly to confront Russia, but the Soviet Union. But Russia's not that. I mean, Russia hasn't, the Soviet Union, the Russia has been invaded over and over and over by England and France. They invaded Crimea, and that's how we ended up with Alaska. Because Alex,
Right.
the cost of fighting the French and English invasion of Russia, uh, he had to sell off Alaska, Alexander II, and so we bought it, and it was called somebody's folly or whatever, but I don't know. But it really turned out to be pretty good. But so Russia is constantly. Napoleon attacked them. Uh, Germany attacked them. France and England has attacked them over and over.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, right now, I mean, with this Ukrainian attack, do you think Ukraine's going to end up being prevailing here and winning?
all I know is that
Or do you think they should?
if Ukraine believes they would win if they were made a NATO nation, I do not believe that will happen.
No, I don't think so.
I do not believe that Ukraine will be a NATO, and I think that would satisfy Putin. Absolutely no, never, ever, ever will Ukraine be a NATO nation, and that will be important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now, I mean, Russia's doing everything they can to hold on to it and to put it back into the fold of
Oh,
Russia.
yeah. Well,
But I mean, I have no idea how many of their troops are using or at what level they're using them at, or if they have enough stamina or enough, depth to keep it going. Because
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
Trump has already decided he's on Ukraine's side now. I think that he's gonna do what he does, and I think he's gonna put the hammer down.
yeah. Well, that's it was amazing that at one time Trump was for peace that we can have a, but it seems like the peace is
I think
falling
he wants
apart.
peace, but he wants peace to be done immediately,
Yeah,
and he's willing to do peace by obliteration or peace by destruction, and instead of just having drag on like a Vietnam.
yeah. And then you have to worry about uh, is Russia going to say, "Hey, well, look, this is basically the United States and other NATO nations are gearing up to do this, so we're not only at war with Ukraine, the basically uh,
Right now, they're at war
we're,
with
we're
America.
we're now at war with America."
Yeah, we
Uh,
don't want that.
no, I really don't want to be sitting here in Pensacola, Florida, where one of the number one targets is Corey Station, which is
Yeah,
about 2 miles from me. And there's a Russian sub, out in the Gulf of America, with a hypersonic missile that we don't have any ability to stop. So
right. We don't want that at all.
this isn't going to be a war of militaries. This could be a war of rockets going back at each other.
Right. I think a lot of it's going to be a drone war. Also, I think a lot of it's going to be an AI war.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be, I mean, a lot different than the, conventional warfare that you saw in the past, and
No,
we've
no.
all seen it past. I was in the Air Force, I mean, it's gonna be a lot different than it was back in the '90s when I was in the Air Force,
Yeah,
and
it's
so it's gonna be more rockets and AI and
oh
drones
yeah,
and
they're gonna
everything else,
they're
and
gonna
so it's
make,
gonna be but hopefully it
uh,
doesn't happen.
we've had one of the things that people don't talk about it at all, hardly, is Russia had its pipeline to Germany, uh, you know,
Good.
blown up,
Yeah.
and Germany got left out in the cold because and here are all these NATO nations squaring that swearing they would have solidarity, but they were all still buying oil from Russia
Russia,
and
yeah.
gas. And so, somebody decided that, well, we're just going to blow up that pipeline. And
This stop their dependence on, Russia.
yeah, and and
Yeah,
we've attacked a Russian pipeline before with
right.
basically we put a bug in their computers to make them, the generators over and actually explode themselves, and that was the pipeline going to China.
You're
Uh,
lucky.
so we have to realize that uh, I always look at uh, what Washington said when he left the office. One of the things he said for sure is, "Do not get entangled in European uh, altercations because they're never going to stop fighting." And
No, they won't.
that's
And it's the
exactly
same way
what.
with the Middle East. It's the
Yeah,
same way
and
with the
it's
Middle East, the
uh,
same way with Europe. I mean, all these nations are gonna keep fighting and fighting over and over again. They've been doing it for centuries
yeah, I
and
just think.
millenniums, and they're
And
gonna
yeah,
continue to do it for
before
centuries and millennia.
before they even knew that there was a Western Hemisphere, and
Exactly,
basically.
before there was even America.
Yeah, and that's what, we used to say that the Monroe Doctrine was that the Eastern Hemisphere needs to stay out of the Western Hemisphere. Well, let's say that, okay, then let's say tell the Western Hemisphere to stay out of the Eastern Hemisphere. That in alone was what basically brought on World War II so drastically with Japan. But
Right,
World War One, who knows? We still don't know exactly how that actually got started. We do know how it got finished, and that was us getting involved. And then, but the but then France and England just basically ruthlessly collected, reparations from Germany. The
right.
Treaty of Versailles basically took all sorts of land away from Germany, and they just set up a perfect melting pot of all the bad things that happened to Germany for a guy like Hitler to take over. He blamed everything on a certain group of people, basically bankers, that signed the Versailles treaty because they were still going to, make a fortune no matter what. And those bankers turned out to be a certain ethnic group, and he just waged war against that, and then war against everybody. And if he would have been smarter, all of Europe would have been Germany, but he wasn't. He had to push farther and harder, and believe that he could take over the world, and that was not so. So it
Well, actually, that brings me to my next question here. I mean, we're talking before the show here about the educational system because nobody's ever learning anything about that. Nobody knows anything about the real
well,
education of World War II or history or
and,
America or anything really
uh,
whatsoever. I mean, what do you think about with this whole government shutdown happening right now, about Trump taking measures to start curtailing and cutting the Department of Education really quickly as he can now because he's the only one with any power because the legislature's not even meeting. So what do you think about him cutting the, Department of Education here deeply?
actually, the Department of Education is unconstitutional because in the Constitution it says anything that isn't specifically noted in the Constitution belongs in the purview of the states. So,
Right.
up until 1979, the states managed you know, uh, their own curriculum. It was their now the curriculum is coming down from the federal government, of what you're supposed to teach and what you're supposed to do. And my mother, who's no longer with us, was an educator, a PhD, two PhDs out of USC, and she basically in 1979, when the Department of Education was the inception of that. Uh, she and I would talk a lot about things. She had no idea what I did. My dad did, but she did. But she basically said something she said, in less than a decade, you will find out that children are being taught what to think, not how to think. And
Exactly. I mean, the
and
whole
that is
critical thinking has been thrown totally out the window.
out the window. Critical
Phonics,
thinking, common
everything.
sense, anything that has to do with, basically logical problem solving, all of that is not even in the curriculum anymore. Common
No, it's
sense,
not.
critical thinking, logical problem solving. Logically solve a problem is the whole reason why math is there. People say,
Right.
"What?"
I
And
mean,
now we're not going to have math. Math isn't going to be a curriculum anymore. There'll be basically arithmetic and subtract, divide, but no algebra, no physics, there's no need for that. We have no need to know how to do algebra or to solve a problem. How to solve a problem, but you can use
Exactly.
one of the things that Einstein brought up is that the problem solving aspect can also be handled with the problem solving the skills of solving a problem in math can be used for the skills of solving a problem within your own family. If you're having
Exactly.
problems in your own family, if you're having and I would say that 90% of the problems in families are start out as financial problems. They can't they don't even know how to balance a checkbook anymore. Nobody even has a checkbook. They don't know how to
No,
balance
it's all digital.
they don't know how to balance their budget, how to make a budget, how to know
No, they
not
don't.
to be not to be, and I can understand, oh man, I tell you, this is and for seniors right now, this is a really tough thing. One of the things that's very important for is that in 2008, right before 2009, a market year in things, uh, Medicare was absolutely 100% free to people that had paid into it all their lives. And I was a retired and I, but and I got two knees replaced absolutely free at Eisenhower Hospital in Rancho Mirage, California. Top surgeons, top everything. Not one dime was charged. Now, uh, they're looking at my wife and I will be paying almost $500 a month out of Social Security to have Plan B. To have that on Medicare. That's more. I never paid a dime for health care my whole life. It was part of my package with whatever corporation I was working with at the time.
And 17 years later, Medicare is now having a charge where 17 years earlier it was not.
And that's right. And now there's all sorts of copays too. Last year I had $4,000 in copays. If you go to the hospital, the first 3 days are on you. So you realize that you're gonna have out of pocket if you end up in the hospital. Medicare doesn't kick in until after the third day, and uh, there's all sorts of. I mean, it's the copay to go see a doctor. One of the things that's, I mean, it's just, and I always say, whenever the government has anything, you can take the
Right.
name
So,
they use and just do the opposite. The Act. It was the most unpatriotic thing we ever did. The Affordable
yeah,
Care
you
Act.
think? You think
What?
Patriot Act was unpatriotic?
Yeah. Well,
It's
it
very
started.
unpatriotic. I mean, basically, I mean, the whole idea of being a patriot means that you're going to spy on everybody and store up everything in a server
Well, yeah.
somewhere. I mean,
I
that's
mean,
not patriotic at all.
yeah.
That's an
Well,
attack on the people of the state. That's the
Yeah,
enemy of the
we're
state. It's
they're gonna
ridiculous.
collect all the information from your cell phone. Every word you say is gonna
Yeah.
be, categorized.
And the
And
very
then
limited social media they have. I mean, back then there was no Facebook, there's no Twitter.
no,
I
no.
mean, there was MySpace and there was a beginning of Google. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, they took whatever data they had off of that and they
And
went crazy with it,
and then you have the Affordable Care Act. How
which is
unaffordable
not affordable.
is now it's you think people can't get insurance.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, the
They
Democrats went an extra $1.5 trillion to pay for it because that's how unaffordable it is. And on top of
yeah,
that, they're trying to give it to all the illegals.
yeah,
They
and
keep
oh, yeah,
saying they're not trying to give it to illegals when it's actually written in their document here to give it to the illegals. I
yes.
mean, they want to restore it back to how it was.
In California, there are now 15 million people on federal welfare. That's 40% of their population now is on federal welfare, and 15 million. Pennsylvania is the fifth largest state. They only have 13 million people. So so the people, and so that means the federal government is funding 15 million people in California with their Section 8
Right.
housing, with their welfare, with their medical, with all of these things. That's all done. And in California, all of the benefits and services supplied for welfare are by entrepreneurs, individual businessmen in California. And I have a friend that's in real estate, And if you're not outwardly a Democrat, you don't get Section 8 housing for your properties. And that's a huge
Yeah,
that is
that's discrimination.
that's a that's a that's a paid that's your rent checks are all by the first of the month, everyone is paid. It's the greatest thing, and you get to. It's not just do you get the and you get the rent that your local that area where your place is your rentals are. You get the top of a line price for that. Now rentals in California now are $4,000 a month, and people in Section 8 housing are living in Pacific Beach in $4,000 a month, apartments. It's crazy.
It is.
I left California in 2017. My wife was born there, raised there in 1956, and on 11/22, it's our 39th wedding anniversary. But we left California because we just realized that we had houses that were worth a fortune, and we basically threw darts at a dartboard, and we ended up looking at Florida and Pensacola here. But we're now looking at other places because Pensacola is getting too expensive. Every time I turn
It
around,
is.
there's something more, more. Luckily, they treat seniors very well in Florida, but they're they're looking, see, that was one thing that never changed in California was Proposition 13, which I think Florida could use a Proposition 13, meaning once you buy a house, your real estate tax does not increase until you sell the house. So
Okay, that's a good idea.
but yeah, that's California. And then if you bought the house for $100,000 and you sell the house for 300,000, the next person pays on $300,000. But that's but really, we bought a house here in Pensacola for $100,000 that would be $1 million home in San Diego. That's just and the two. There's so much alike about the two cities. They're both at one time. I grew up in the '60s in San Diego, and that was Top Gun School, Fighter Town, USA. That was Navy, and San Diego still is the number one residential area for military. In active duty military. Pensacola is the cradle of naval aviation. This is where all World War II pilots were trained, and now
Right.
we're training all the pilots from all over the world that fly American jets. We train them here, and the military is basically they don't understand it, but basically the breadbasket for the Pensacola, Florida, is the military. I mean, we're surrounded here by military issues and retirement. A lot of people left California in my deal, the intelligence world. Uh, Thousands of retired intelligence officers left California for other states. Florida was a main one because it just cost too much. We couldn't decide. Well, we're retiring. This is what we have, but what are we going to be able to, can we afford
Live
to
with it.
retire here
Yeah.
in California? No, we couldn't.
Yeah, the whole affordability out there is just not realistic, and it's not,
No,
and
if
especially
you're
for retirees and military retirees.
well, yeah, one of the things that's, if you listen to, Larry Fink, is it, of Vanguard and
BlackRock?
BlackRock?
Yeah,
He just came
right.
out with a thing that I read. He said, my strategy for retirees. And, so I said, "Well, I gotta read that, what his strategy is for retirees." It unfortunately, it doesn't do me any good except for, it says, "Don't retire." Just your best bet is just don't retire because
Exactly.
inflation, you'll never catch
You're
up.
never gonna be able to catch up, exactly. I mean,
You'll never be
you're
able
always
to
gonna
catch
be
up.
3
They're
steps
giving
behind.
Social security people, luckily, I'm not solely on Social Security, but you've got, 2.7% cost of living adjustment. Well, but the COLA doesn't include food or fuel. So
Right.
my wife and I used to live on $300 a month at Walmart or Sam's Club. That was now we don't
That was back in the day.
a hamburger was 98 cents a pound. Hamburger's
Yeah.
$5 a pound now. You know
That's $300 a week or 300 a day
oh,
for
yeah,
most
instead of
people.
300 a month, it's 300 a week, for food. And fuel, electricity and my electric bill, Florida Power& and Light, it's gone up, almost 100%. It's almost
Right.
double, so, it's, and they even have their off-grid fee now to keep they charge you, I think it's $30 or something like that to be on the grid, and that can't be offset by solar, and they don't that's $30 no matter what,
Right,
so
exactly.
and one of the biggest I'll tell everybody out there, uh, here in North Florida, solar doesn't work. It just it's just too much
Now,
rain.
as far as the Sunshine State goes, there is actually quite a bit of rain and cloudiness in, Northwest
Y
Florida. It's
yeah,
not as
and
sunshiny as everybody thinks it is, as the, motto or slogan says
no.
it is.
I always say that, if you travel Florida from, Miami up to Pensacola, the more north you get, the more southern you get. So, it's,
It's
this is
very true.
I lived in Mobile, Alabama for a year doing a telecom deal, and this is very this is like Alabama. This is Alabama. It's rainy, it's really but there's sunshine, it's nice.
Right.
The
I mean,
Gulf is,
I lived in Pensacola for 40 years,
yeah,
and I'm
it's
now living over here in Palm Coast in the Gainesville area in the more the eastern so north central eastern side of, Florida,
yeah.
where I'm originally from, and so, I mean, it's a whole different climate over here, really. I mean, a
No,
climate of people.
and you have all
Weather-wise,
these
nearly similar weather-wise.
and you have all these solar companies from Miami, up here in North Florida, telling you, that, "Oh, if you put this solar panel on these solar panel
You'll
ons,
save money.
your Florida Power& and Light bill will be 0." And so I just, told my solar company, the people that gave me the loan that are from California, I've said, "Look, uh, go find where you gave the money to and find out where that company is because
Exactly.
they need to explain why my Florida Power& and Light bill is $100 and then I'm giving you $100. No, it's,
Exactly.
I was supposed to have 0 to Florida Power& and Light and, then $100 to you. So it's just not
Yeah,
working out that way.
yeah. Well,
No, no,
exactly.
those are
That's
things
a
that
mess.
I tell you, the biggest thing that we have a problem here is, uh, is that our young people see that, especially in California, see there's no way that they're ever gonna be able to live the standard of living that they had with their parents living at home. They're
Well,
never
yeah,
gonna
I mean, right now, the multi-generational dynamic is real in all
oh,
the households. I mean, most households are not just one husband and wife anymore and their kids, and the whole empty nest concept has been thrown out the window
yeah.
totally.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
in
one
my
child.
household, we have 3 generations
Yeah,
easily.
one child or 2 child at the most, but they're not gonna be I mean, very simple. The house that my father bought in San Diego when he retired, from the Army and stayed with the government that I found out was a brand new tract home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, right below NAS Miramar, and it was at University City is what they called it, and
Right.
he bought that house for $22,000, and that house now is $2,000,000.
What year
Now,
was that
how
for 22,000? What year was that?
that was 61.
61.
1961. And I mean, I'm in a Jack box house now in San Diego is $1,000,000. I mean, there condos are $1,000,000. 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos are $1,000,000 in San Diego.
Well,
Uh,
the times are changing. I mean, Gavin Newsom gave it to us, and that's what Gavin Newsom and all the California politicians and all the political dynamics of California did. They raised the rate so damn high on everything from the cost of living to the housing to just everything.
well,
It's just, not affordable for anybody to sustain.
basically in California, and this is the truth, I mean, either directly or indirectly, 80 to 90% of the people that are working for a government entity, either directly or indirectly.
Right.
So, because if people that like I have a friend who's totally in real estate, Section 8 housing. I say, "You're working for the government." you're a government employee. You're getting paid huge amounts of money. You're living the lifestyle because you're supplying Section 8 housing to about 30 apartment,
Right.
30 apartments he has and small houses. And he's supplying, Section 8 housing. Uh, all of your UCLA, all of your UC schools, all of your state universities, all of your schools, those are all government, employees. All of your, and just right on down the line, you are either working directly or indirectly for the government, and they have a debt that's more out of whack than the U.S. debt, trillions of dollars. They've spent who knows how much tens, maybe 50, 60 billion dollars on this supposedly high speed train that they don't even know where it really is going to go. And there's not
No, they
one
don't.
inch, and there's not 1 inch of track laid yet. And the money's gone. The money is all
Yeah.
gone. All the federal money that was
Well, and
sent
the
in there.
studies. People have to
Studies,
study it. They gotta
study,
research it. They gotta
study.
read. They gotta
Well,
ask questions, and they
let's put a
spend billions of dollars on intangibles.
yeah. Let's put it this way. After the fires in California, there were homes that just to get the permits to clean up your property, just to clean it, were in the
Almost half
hundreds
a
of
million
thousands of
dollars.
dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, 3 or $400,000 for permits just to clean up your own land.
Yeah.
That's not even valued at that.
And so people were just saying, okay, I'm just going to sell it, the land as is and leave. And people were buying them. They were
They're
buying,
doing it, yeah.
they were getting $1 million for their $8, $9 million home, but they're just packing up and leaving. They're just gone because they don't have the money even to get the permits, let alone to do the rebuild. Who knows what the rebuild's going to be?
And that's
Uh,
the whole idea that Gavin Newsom wants to take this on his presidential campaign. That's the kind of record and legacy he
oh,
wants to take with him.
and
It's
and
like
he,
horrifying.
and now he wants to turn Pacific Palisades into multi-dwelling properties. So he wants to make
Yeah, a whole bunch of apartments, yeah,
apartment. He wants a whole bunch of apartments,
condos.
and because because the amount of land that's needed to support a 10-story condo or a 10-story apartment block, you'll if they take him over, the government takes him over and starts doing, then that $9 million home
Exactly.
turns into $100 million piece of property because they've got $100 million worth of uh, of of housing on it because
It's all grifting.
they're gonna
It's almost like they didn't put the fires out on purpose.
oh almost
To
like they
go
made the fires
ahead,
on purpose.
it's one heck of a real estate deal for them.
Well, the whole thing is it was going to happen sooner or later because the for I have a degree in agriculture from University of Arizona, animal science, and my minor was forestry management. And
Okay.
there is absolutely zero forestry management in California
No,
anymore.
exactly.
Ever since they went from paper bags to plastic bags, they quit. The paper bags were never made from trees; they were made from the rakings of the forest floor, and they made
Right.
paper bags. But the
Good,
reason
I
why
know
they went,
that.
but the reason why they went from paper to plastic is I was in the beef industry and I was selling all these big chains, Ralph's and Hughes Market, Safeway, Lucky Stores, all the big grocery stores. And I knew their top people. And I said, "Well, why are you going to these plastic bags?" He says, "Because the hardest job to learn in a grocery store is how to bag a paper bag and not have it fall apart on the housewife
Right.
as she's going. That's the most that next to the and they got rid of the butchers already because they got boxed beef. So they got rid of the butchers and now they had to get rid of the baggers. He just said any idiot can bag a plastic bag. If you double bag it, you can't rip it. So,
Right, that's true.
plastic bags, you look at Walmart, Walmart's all self checkout. 90% of Walmart now is scan and go, self checkout.
Well,
Nope.
they're trying to scale back to people and everything. Over here where I'm at, they're trying to scale back to self-checkout and do more customer base and more, people-based checkout. They're
Yeah.
trying to scale back that way because I think a lot of the self-checkouts are broken and they're actually pretty expensive to fix. And
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
realizing they're not as cheap to fix as they used to be.
Yeah, it's
The rates of fixing that have gone up.
yeah, the rates of everything have gone up. The rates of the only
Well,
thing that
Walmart
hasn't.
have gone up.
And you do know, one thing that everybody needs to learn is what intragovernmental holdings are. Do you know what
Right.
intragovernmental holdings are?
Now you tell me.
Yeah. Basically, they are money owed by the US government to designated trust funds where a tax was specifically taxed for a specific person or individual or a a product down the line. The two main ones are Social Security and Medicare. They have the Vietnam War was paid by Social Security. So
Right.
and that tax that that intergovernmental holding amount right now is over $7 trillion that they owe Medicare and Social Security, and we pay
You mean they
interest.
borrowed it and they took it out of the lockbox?
And we paid interest. We're paying interest to the Federal Reserve on that, but you're not paying interest. You're not paying interest to the people you took it from. You took it
No.
from. You took it from me. You took it from
Take it from
you.
us. Yeah.
They're taking it from you, and the interest should go back into the Social Security and the Medicare trust fund. Those are
Right.
what they're called trust funds. And I always say that
Not really.
FDR did a great job with Social Security. I thought it was an unbelievable good idea. The only problem is he let government manage it, and the worst management in the world is our bureaucratic government,
It is.
our bureaucracy. Uh, there's a great Calvin Coolidge in 1926 at William and Mary College actually made a speech, and that's a big thing for Calvin Coolidge, Silent Cal, to make a speech. It was about a 10-minute long speech, but at the very end of it, it's he says that the bureaucracy is the worst form of government known to man. Bureaucracies, and it says that they have absolute power over everyone and responsible to no one. there's there's no
Exactly.
responsibility, and there
Zero accountability.
but they have power over and you know what we did when Elon Musk came out with showing how much money was being wasted and how much money was being thrown away and out stolen. What did we do? We attacked Tesla. We blew up Tesla cars. We killed the messenger.
Yeah, well, exactly. We killed the messenger, and that's what they wanted to do. And once he left, I mean, nobody's really talking about that anymore. Nobody's really
No,
talking about all the
because
Dodge or Doge stuff
everybody,
anymore.
so many people they're directly
Benefiting.
employed by the government or indirectly employed by the government. And so it's all the schools, all those things, 3 million civilian government employees, the IRS, which we found out that the IRS building has been empty since COVID. But then why is Starbucks sending 15, $20,000, uh, a month to the IRS building for coffee if it's closed? So,
Who
but
knows? I
that's,
mean, that's something we can probably talk about in the next episode here whenever we get together again
oh yeah. I mean,
and find out.
but I
It's
tell
just
you,
bizarre. I mean,
I,
it's weird how the government keeps on doing everything in secret and hiding, and they keep telling us how transparent everything is. And even with this new administration, it's supposed to
yeah,
be
it,
transparent, but we still have so many bureaucrats still there who are still trying to block it. I mean, we
oh
haven't even touched on the James Comey stuff and all this stuff, but we'll probably touch on that next week and everything.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
But
well, we had
yeah,
a situation very quickly that really neat is you had the president, the vice president, the secretary of state, the director of FBI, the director of CIA, all involved in what they used to, and the CIA has this called political action group, and that their job was always to destabilize foreign governments. They have a they have a whole scenario of how to destabilize
or
governments.
destabilize our own government.
And that's what they used. They took those scenarios and they put them inward and they tried to destabilize Trump's campaign. Then they tried to destabilize Trump's presidency. He spent 4 years just fending off, these, and we all know now that the that the Russian dossier was a hoax. It was paid for by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. $1 million went to the writer through something in Coe, a law firm paid paid a MI6 agent this money to get the Russian
Yeah,
dossier
Christopher
written,
Steele. What was
and
his name? Steele? Christopher Steele?
Christopher Steele, Christopher
Yeah.
Steele, and uh, and people aren't looking at that as that's treason. That was
Yeah,
treason.
well, you would think it would be, but, in today's world, I mean, it's treason only if you're, on Trump's team. If
Yeah.
you're on the other team, it's actually patriotic.
Oh yeah, we were
They
trying
think
to
it's
save the country.
patriotism.
We were trying to save the country. Well, there's a way you save the country. It's
Whatever.
at the ballot box.
Exactly.
It's through the
It's called
Congress.
freedom.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I always here I am in Pensacola, and I've had a neighbor, because here and where my wife is from, NAS El Centro, is the winter home of the Blue Angels, and I used to really enjoy the Blue Angels. And well, those jets fly right over our house on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and one of my neighbors mentioned, he said, "My, that's loud. That's a terrible noise." I said, "Look, that's the sound of freedom. That jet
exactly.
pilot
It's a
over there,
sound of
that's the
freedom.
sound of freedom. That's why this country's free. It's because of our military." And so I'll let you go, and yeah, let's look up again, and
Yeah,
uh,
thanks for joining the show tonight. I mean, it was a great little history lesson here.
oh, I mean, really, and it should all be taught. Everybody should be taught what I was given the ability to learn while I was
Right.
in Laos, to read those classified. I wasn't declassified till 2016. 46 years. 46 years I couldn't talk
Well,
about
we'll
the
probably
things
we'll
I
probably
did.
talk about that. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that more in the next show and everything here.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Liam, thanks for joining us here tonight. And guys, just follow us and subscribe to our channel and everything if you could on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And for the Political Matrix News, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Yep. Take care.
No, no, don't go anywhere.